we are doing a disservice and ruining the lives of millions of Americans, and I, for one, am one of them. I have been wanting to get a loan to go to college to improve my life. The only reason why I went to this school when I was 17 was to try to improve my life. Turned out that the school was, let's just say, not honest. There's other words, but not honest. And so my question for you is, because of the way the law is currently written, it is harming millions of disabled Americans who cannot get out of the student loan and cannot have it dismissed. My question posed to you is, what would a Senator Sestak do to try to rectify this tragedy in America?
We've already taken some steps out of my Education and Labor Committee, because I went to Education Committee purposely. I headed the Navy's anti-terrorism unit. I was on the ground for a short period of time to get into the war. And therefore, Denny Hoyer, the majority leader of the House, said, you know, we're going to put you on the Intelligence Committee. That sounds like where you should be. I said, no, I want Education and Labor, because it's the long pole in the tent for economic viability. I also went to several health subcommittees, because I learned in the military that militaries make you safe, but they don't make you strong. The investment in health, education, economic security, like we started this conversation off, is what makes you strong. So now, today, first off, if you are disabled and you have a student loan,
Right.
and you're disabled, we say that you can defer payment if you're not making more than 150% of poverty level.
Okay. I'm at 550% below poverty, so I think I'm okay.
You're at what?
550% below poverty.
Below poverty. So you can defer it. And after 25 years, then nothing's got it. So that's what we just did. Now, the second thing we did is this, in this new law that just passed, is we said, let's say you get a little bit above poverty level, or 170, 180%, that never more than 10% of your income will you ever have to pay per year towards the student loan. Because we no longer want to drive not just the disabled, but undisabled, non-disabled,
Able-bodied, right.
able-bodied into bankruptcy.
Exactly.
And that's what we're doing. Now, we've done a lot more. In small business, now this one was focused on veterans who are disabled. We made them a priority. The bill hasn't passed the Senate yet. That's why I'll do more over there, is where they would have priority on it. But we also did this. We found that about 61% of those small business administration loans, government loans, excuse me, all government loans, because 20% are supposed to go to small businesses, and there's a certain percentage set aside for disabled. We found that about 61% are being gone through false front companies to big companies. Actually, there's one right here in Pittsburgh.
Wow.
Where the front company is a restaurant 80 miles away, but it's a construction company.
Geez.
So what we did is, I have a bill, it hasn't passed yet, we
Right.
make this a crime to do this, because we do want to make sure that we have productive members of society.
Right.
As we began this conversation about humanity.
Right, correct.
Because this isn't charity, is we can have you be a productive member of society without running you into bankruptcy. When you can't be a productive member, then we all gain.
That's true. Well, I want to do two more quick questions. Going back real quick to the healthcare law, and I would like you to extrapolate and look into the camera when you answer this. The question is, well, actually, it's not a question; it's a statement. But from my understanding,
Public option, that's what you'd ask me.
yeah, and we'll get to that.
All right.
Let you get to that. But real quickly, I don't know if the American people are aware of this. My understanding is that in every country that has universal health care, there is not one penny that in bankruptcies, medical bankruptcies due to medical bills and costs do not occur in these nations. So I would like for you to speak on that and how maybe we can work towards, I hate to call it universal health care, but a form of it. And what will that do for medical caused bankruptcies in America? What do you think will happen if we improve our coverage of medical care, and how will that help
And by you mean
reduce
the
bankruptcies?
term you mean by universal, do you mean single payer?
Possibly,
or do you
whatever
mean just
it takes.
everyone's covered?
Everyone's covered.
Let me
And
talk
whatever,
about
it could be private, it can be government, it could be a
Absolutely.
combination, whatever it is.
And I'll also bring in the public option on this.
Yeah, I'll let you take care of that.
Here's the issue right now. What we have is about 40 million American citizens who are not covered. And if you're in a family of 4 today and you have health insurance, you're actually paying $1,100 more than you would have to every year to cover the uninsured. Because they do get sick. And when they go in an emergency room, they're usually acutely sick. The hospital doesn't eat that cost. When they negotiate with the insurance company, like Blue Cross Blue Shield,
Right.
who covers maybe you with a family of 4, they negotiate that as overhead. And the insurance company doesn't eat it either, they pass it to you and the family. So what we do now is by covering everyone, millions who don't get life-saving care, we actually do what's morally right, but economically sound. Because you won't be paying that $1,100 more directly, because they'll get preventive care to where we catch a disease early and you pay less, so that cost goes down. Second, we won't lose $150 billion a year in lost productivity as we compete with the Chinas and the Indias of today, because we'll have healthy workers who get their care early and are back to work rapidly. Finally, though, we have to take another step. The House bill did this, and the Senate, and this is why I want to get to the Senate, is because too many times I find that politics triumphs over principle. And if there's anything we need to do is regain the trust of our citizens to where principle triumphs over politics. Because the health insurance companies are exempt, for example, from antitrust law. They're permitted as the only industry to collude on pricing. So that's why in Pennsylvania, 2 companies have 85% of all the private health care plans. Imagine trying to, as an individual or small business of 10 people, try to negotiate with those 2 big companies for a fair price. So what we did, and what we need to do in the future, since it didn't get through the Senate, is rip out that antitrust exemption. Second, I wanted a competitor out there in that marketplace to rejuvenate competition. Now, if we had called the public option, I don't know, something like Blue Cross Blue Shield Junior, maybe we could have marketed it better. But the public option was merely a device which wasn't funded by the government. It was a choice. But the premiums would be lower, which would affect the other ones to stop giving their CEOs $23 million salaries, severance pays of $70 million, high advertising costs, and as one company in Pennsylvania does, keeping profits of $3.5 billion in reserve to start caring about more the patient. Because this public option wouldn't have paid those salaries. It wouldn't have done advertising. It wouldn't have tried to make enormous profits. It would have just done what it needed to do. And all of a sudden you affected more fair competition. Because I believe in the longer term, fair competition, but transparency in that competition will best discipline cost. And that's what we tried to affect. If the House bill had gotten through, we would have decreased premiums 25%. But at least we can get 15%. And when I'm in U.S. Senate, I'm going to fight for those other measures to get through.
Well, I believe that you will fight, being that you're a former Admiral. So real quickly, I have to do a double thank you, because I know that you're an extremely busy man as a blooper, but we'll keep that in there. But an extremely busy man. But first of all, I want to thank you for deciding, I guess when you were about 16 or 17, for making a conscious decision to become one of America's heroes and serve in the armed forces. And I know that, you know, I use the term hero a lot, and sometimes people think I probably use it too much, but you are a hero. I mean, let's go to the facts. The fact is, this young man made a conscious decision, my fellow Pittsburghers, Pennsylvanians, and Americans, when you was probably, what, 16 or 17? Do you recall when you made that decision?
Yes, 3rd grade.
Okay, well, 3rd grade, that's pretty young.
I wanted to be just like my father,
Okay,
who served
there you
station
go.
in World War II, but it
Okay.
was during Vietnam, and I
Right.
put thought into it.
Right.
So you're right. When I was getting there about 16, 17, I
Right.
made another conscious
Yeah.
decision to do it.
So what made you decide to, I mean, there's like a multiple deciding factors there. One, you decided to protect and defend your nation, which of course we speak about in the Constitution. 2, you decided to essentially put your life, if necessary, on the line, and let's come out and call it what it is, possibly die in the cause of freedom. What makes a person do that? How did you get to that point?
Well,
And I want to
again,
thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you for